Let's recap how the last week has gone here in Ireland in terms of the mainstream media running cover for the Indian community, calling every single Irish person a vile racist. This very well organised group of immigrants got together and got in the ear of some of the leading politicians in this country and have demanded a special Irish task force to police the speech of Irish people. Me, myself, have been banned from YouTube this week under EU hate speech laws because I dared to question the narrative. And after huge pressure from private Indian groups online, mass reporting myself and everybody else, the mainstream media falling in behind them and backing them up, what was the result of all that? The Irish police came out and said there was absolutely no increase in hate crimes against Indian nationals and that it was all very over-exaggerated. Kind of like what I said a week ago, and I got banned for. Before I show you some insane receipts in terms of what these people are like, if you could do me a favour and maybe like, subscribe and share the video, it would really mean a lot in terms of getting me back to where I was before I got banned last Friday. And I will show you receipts of that and the direct targeted attack on my channel from this peaceful community here in Ireland. So if you could share this one out, I'd really appreciate that. Here's the article that I'm referring to. Gardaí struggle to reassure Indian community amid spate of high-profile attacks. No statistical indication of rising threat to Indian exists, but that is a hard message to deliver. You're goddamn right that's a hard message to deliver because these people are very organised and they are zeroed in on condemning the Irish people and anybody who questions the narrative. There were 676 hate crimes and hate-related incidents in the state in 2024. A lot of them were perpetrated on Irish people by foreign nationals, but that doesn't get reported. According to Garda sources, that number is on track to increase this year. I'm sure it is, as is the number of immigrants coming into the country. However, there is little statistical evidence to show Indian nationals are being singled out, Gardaí say. Alright, I said that last week and I got banned under EU hate speech laws. Very interesting. Sources stress that they are not downplaying the attacks which have occurred. Neither are they saying racism is not a motive in at least some of them. What they are saying is that Indians living in Ireland have no more reason to feel afraid than they did a few months ago. That's very interesting, isn't it? That's very interesting from the Irish Times. Following a recent series of seemingly random unprovoked attacks on Indian nationals in Ireland, Garda analysts were asked to determine whether the assaults were part of a growing trend. This was easier said than done, however, as Garda systems do not allow for easy recording of crime victims' ethnicity. However, after combing through the data, they did determine that there had been no significant increase in Indians living in Ireland being so targeted.
Nice.
So there you have it from a number of mainstream outlets who have gone very quiet on the Indians are being attacked issue this week. Now don't get me wrong, of course there's isolated attacks on every ethnicity and no one is condoning anything like that. But the Indian community really showed their hand in the last 7 days in terms of lobbying the government for urgent meetings, which they got with Simon Harris, the Taoiseach. And without being too harsh, that man has a lot to answer for. A huge scandal has broke this week in terms of a young boy who passed away because under Simon Harris's watch, who actually said in public that he would have care for these children, that they would not be on long waiting lists, that they would not be waiting longer than 4 months. These children were waiting years and that treatment never came and lives were lost under that man's watch. And his main priority last week was not to meet up with the victims of the children who have passed away because care was not provided by him and his department and his government. No, his priority was to meet up with the community of Indians living in Ireland, make it a big virtue signalling outpouring of media. I guess he didn't get the memo from An Garda Síochána, the police force here in Ireland, telling him that, yo dude, none of that's happening, bro. There's no difference now than there was 6 months ago to a year ago. Nothing's happening. A couple of lads got clattered, just like a couple of Irish lads got clattered. It was all publicised all over the internet last week. Chill out. He didn't get that memo. He ignored the Irish family who had just lost their child. And do you think that the Indian community cared about that? Or was all the outpouring of sympathy supposed to go to the allegedly racially abused 6-year-old Indian girl? I guess the death of an Irish kid doesn't make the mainstream media for like 10 days after the actual event. But an alleged racial assault on an Indian girl made it onto the front of every newspaper every day for like 7 or 8 days straight. And we had Simon Harris there, slurping that story up, being virtuous and giving it the big egalitarian altruistic talk, whilst his own citizens are dying and he doesn't seem to care. That dude should resign. There's a petition signed for that. People should get over there and get that done. This user on X with the handle of Peter Paul Guy. Go over and have a look at this guy's account. Proper journalism being done by this dude. Not what you get from the mainstream. Actual journalism. And he covers a spate of very angry Indians in comment sections saying the vilest of stuff, which apparently doesn't fall under hate speech laws like myself. I'll leave some of these screenshots on screen as I'm talking, and what I'll do is I'll show you some of the actual groups that were coming after me as well. Very organized, very interesting, and very triggered. Even in groups like this, Indians in Ireland, I think we need to stop oversharing what's happening in Ireland, especially when it comes to Indian community. People can see in the news and in the headlines, they already know what's going on. By constantly posting, more people are knowing about how many Indians are in Ireland, how many are buying houses, how many are coming through dependent visas. Very interesting point, because a lot of these people, I believe 75% and up, who are buying the new houses, totally forcing out the young Irish people that were promised the dream of having a house. These people who are buying all the houses have the dependent visas there as well. So not only are they buying the houses, working in the IT, they're actually bringing in their parents and grandparents on these dependent visas to look after their kids. So no childcare costs there either. These topics are now being discussed everywhere in interviews, at lunch breaks, and even in gyms. It feels like every Instagram user is buying a Temu mic and posting a video about the incident just to get famous. But in doing so, we are unintentionally creating chaos and possibly fueling resentment by showcasing the numbers so publicly. Please think. So even these well-organized Indian groups are telling themselves and their own people to stop bragging online. That it's actually quite annoying because Irish people can't buy houses. I don't know how many comments I got in my last video talking about, bro, it's nothing got to do with the Indian people, it's your government. Correct. Why is the government actively advertising out in these countries for them people to come here? It's a replacement, we all get it, it's understandable. But the Indian community needs to hold up their hands, as one of their own people have said here in this group chat, and stop being so blatant with your arrogance. So take a little bit of advice from this post in Indians in Ireland group. And don't be like Azad here, the councillor down in Limerick, who after 3 Irish kids lost their lives on the streets to the hands of a migrant and people came out and showed their frustration, he decided to go public and say, I would like to see them shot in the head, the councillor's hard line on the Dublin riots. So it's not just in private groups that we have vile rhetoric been spewed by the Indian community, it's in positions of power as well. And let's not forget old baby over here, who was accused of charging migrant nurses an unlawful agency fee. That's a very nice way of saying that. He was pulling an old human trafficking scam himself, bringing in nurses, getting them to replace Irish nurses in the hospital and health system and charging them a couple of thousand a pop. Another Indian lad with a very vocal voice above in Dublin City Council. If this is the disgraceful behaviour that we're getting from sitting councillors, just have a little think about what these comment sections are like in Indians for Ireland group. And here you have myself. You have the Indians in Ireland group, and I redacted the number because I'm not a scumbag and I don't want harm to come to people. I'm that guy. I'm the guy who got banned for hate speech. I took out this guy's number and I took out his face here and just covered it with some other Indian angry dude. And loads of people said to me, you know what, you should put it public. That's not what I'm about, but I'll probably get banned anyway. These guys are putting into groups that I should be mass reported. And not only that, please report him here as well. Give his financials a dent as well. Over on the Buy Me a Coffee or the Patreon or wherever it may be. Targeting every video where the narrative didn't suit their story. The fear of being banned and being attacked for hate speech laws in this country, that shouldn't happen in a democratic country, even though that's a fake word over here in Ireland. Free speech is free speech and it should be for everybody. Questioning a narrative is not hateful or inciting hate. Telling the truth is definitely not that. So I won't be silenced and I won't be backing down. and I'm sure I'll be reported, and it'll be very interesting to see if I'm banned once more. As I said earlier on, you'd really do me a favor if you could like this video, share this video, subscribe, everything that will get this out there to more people. And I'll see you in the next one.